We started writing the record about 2 years ago, and I would say we started recording it maybe about a year ago. And, you know, I would have to fly out to DJ's house in Las Vegas and work with him recording guitars, and then fly down to Los Angeles and go to Nicky's house and work with him recording bass, and then back to Nashville where my studio was to edit things. And there was a good probably year of time where I was on a plane maybe 3 times a week flying across the country. Time just flew by. I mean, I can't believe it took us 2 years to make it, because in some respects it seems like we made the record in like 3 months, because we were just so excited and so passionate about it. I think we'll keep on exploring. What we've just discovered on this record, on Modern Vintage, is how narrow people's perspective of rock music has become. What people define rock music as now has become awfully narrow. And when you look back to rock records of the 60s or the 70s, the bands that we loved, Queen, ELO, David Bowie, Elton John, there's a long list of them, the ones that influenced us and made us want to be musicians in the first place. When you look at those type of records, take a Queen record, for example, you will not have one song that sounds like another song on that record. It will take you on such a journey, and yet we still refer to those as rock records. That's the kind of rock record that we wanted Modern Vintage to be. I don't think that we're afraid of anything with 6 a.m. We fully expect that some listeners are going to be thrown by this and taken off guard, but we also hope that as they listen to this record as a body of work, as a whole, they're going to start piecing the puzzle pieces together and realize what this is. One thing that we've loved about 6 a.m. fans is that they, while they may have some expectations of us, the expectations are good expectations. They expect us to do different things. They expect us not to repeat ourselves and just keep on making the same record over and over. When we did the Heroin Diaries soundtrack, there was the book to be inspired by, and that was a great starting point for us. And then on This Is Gonna Hurt, we had his photography, really, which was the starting point for that book. And Nicky's such an incredible photographer, and what he does so well in his imagery is capture the contrast between beauty and darkness. His photographs are very disturbing, but there's also something very beautiful about them. Well, that pretty much is what 6 a.m. does with our music, and always has done. So when it came time to make Modern Vintage, we did all intentionally say, let's not have a tangible book or photograph to work off of. Now that we know who we are as a band, let's reveal who we are as a band. It was a side project, I guess, to Nicky from Motley Crue, but it was also a side project to me from the producing career that I had, and a side project to DJ for the bands that he was in. So we've never thought of it that way. And while we certainly understand that everyone else does, and obviously the connection to Motley Crue has been an incredible blessing to us, and we've been exposed to a fan base that we would have never had the opportunity to. So, you know, we're also so passionately connected to each of these records. There are songs on the Heroin Diaries soundtrack that are as much about my life and my personal things as they are about Nicky and the diaries and stuff, and same with DJ, and same thing with This Is Gonna Hurt. So it feels like 3 guys that just have the luxury of being able to make records with no expectations and no parameters. Does your desire cause you harm? Does it when the devil twists your... It was very important to us that it started, you know, with a real band feel. These songs needed to be performed, you know, as a real band. So we hired Jeff Fab, who's currently out with Black Label Society playing drums. He's an incredible drummer. We brought him into the studio, and it was just a fantastic moment in the making of this record, because it really set the stage for how this record was going to sonically and feel-wise be very different than our past records. I had signed a solo record deal in, I believe, 98 or 99, and it was on a label that Nicky was also on. We would meet each other kind of passing in the halls of the label, and one day he pulled me aside and told me that he had heard my record and really loved it and was impressed by my songwriting. And it was right around the time where he was getting ready to make what turned out to be the new Tattoo record. Well, he and Tommy had decided to kind of part ways for a bit on that record, and so Nicky was left with the task of writing the entire record basically himself. So he asked me if I'd want to come in and write some of the songs. Well, we got together, and the first day we got together, we wrote 2 songs that ended up on the record, and it just became apparent that you know, we had too much creating to do to just let it end there. And then DJ and I actually met during a recording session for Motley Crue, and I heard DJ playing the guitar, and it was like nothing I had ever heard from a guitar player. It just had this sound, and I couldn't tell if it was even a synthesizer, if it was what was going on. And I looked out in the studio, and he was actually hitting his guitar with a drumstick. He had his own solo projects going on. So we all met kind of through the Motley Crue connection, but it wasn't until I think a couple of years later that we all got together and started writing the Heroin Diaries soundtrack.